The battlefield still smelled like fire and death. Smoke rose from broken machines, alien bodies, and burned-out bunkers. Human soldier Evan Drell stood quietly near the edge of a ruined alien city. His armor was scratched, his hands stained with dust and blood. The war was over. At least this battle was. He had fought hard. Too hard. His squad was gone. He had survived alone. As Evan leaned on his rifle, a strange voice called out behind him. "Human," said the tall alien commander, a creature with green skin and gold armor. "You are the last man standing. The enemies are dead. You brought U.S. victory." Evan didn't answer. He only nodded once. The alien gave a thin smile. "As promised, you get a reward. Come." Evan followed him silently through the city ruins, confused. What kind of reward? Food? Supplies? A ship back to Earth? Instead, they arrived at a large tent guarded by two heavily armed soldiers. The alien commander pushed open the flap and motioned for Evan to enter. Inside, the air was thick with silence. Two chained alien women sat on the floor, dirty, bruised, and shivering. One had short silver hair, her eyes burning like fire. She looked up at Evan with hate and pride. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She looked like a fighter. The other had long blue hair, her body curled up like a scared animal. Her eyes were red from crying. Her skin was pale. She looked broken. Both of them wore collars with glowing red lights. Their ankles were chained to metal rings on the floor. Evan's chest tightened. "What is this?" he asked. "Your reward," said the alien commander with a laugh. "Choose one. Take her with you. She is yours now." "I don't want this," Evan said coldly. "I didn't fight for this." The alien chuckled. "It is tradition. Soldiers of victory always receive spoils of war." He pointed at the silver-haired girl. "That one, Zura, is a wild cat, strong, fierce. She will fight you." Then he pointed at the quiet one. "That's Mina, soft, gentle, scared of everything. Easy to control." Evan's fists clenched. He looked at both girls. They looked back, one with fire, the other with tears. Zura growled under her breath. "Just pick one, human. Get it over with." Mina didn't say a word. She just lowered her eyes, waiting for pain. Evan stood there, heart pounding. He didn't want to take either of them, but leaving them here with these monsters. He turned to the commander. "What happens to the one I don't choose?" The alien smiled darkly. "She goes back into storage. Or to the pits, or worse." Evan looked at the girls again. His jaw tightened. "No," he said. The alien blinked. "No, I'm taking both." The air inside the tent became still. "Both?" the commander repeated, now frowning. "That is not allowed." Evan stepped forward, standing tall. "You gave me a reward. My choice. I choose both." Zura's eyes widened in surprise. Mina gasped. "You humans." The alien commander hissed. "You are strange. Fine, take them. But don't come crying when they betray you. They are damaged goods." Evan ignored him. He walked toward the girls. Zura backed away, confused. "Why are you doing this?" Mina whispered. "Are you going to hurt us?" Evan crouched down, unlocking their chains with the keys left on a nearby table. He didn't answer their questions. He just looked at them calmly. "You're not things," he said softly. "You're people. And no one deserves to live in chains." He took off his jacket and wrapped it around Mina, who was shaking. Zura watched closely, still on edge. "Don't pretend you're different." "I'm not pretending," he said. The guards stepped back as Evan helped the girls stand. One limped, the other could barely walk. Outside the tent, the alien soldiers whispered and stared. A human walking away with not one but two chained alien women? It had never happened before. Zura looked around at the crowd. "They'll come after us." I know, Evan said. Mina clung to his arm. Are we free now? Evan looked ahead toward the distant hills. The sun was setting. Not yet, he said. But we're getting there. Behind them, the alien commander watched in silence. His eyes narrowed and a cruel smile returned to his face. Let's see how long you last, human, he whispered. Let's see what happens when they show you who they really are. Asterisk. The fire crackled softly in the cave. Evan sat near the entrance, holding a warm cup of water between his hands. He stared into the flames, tired, silent, and deep in thought. Behind him, in the shadows, the two alien women watched him quietly. Zura sat against the rocky wall, her arms crossed, still refusing to trust. Her silver hair was messy, and her bruises were healing slowly, but her eyes, still sharp, still full of fight. Mina lay curled up on a soft blanket, her breathing gentle. She was finally asleep, safe, warm, and not chained. Zura's voice broke the silence. Why didn't you tie us up? Evan didn't turn around. Why would I? She leaned forward, studying his back. You don't know us. We could kill you. We could escape. He finally glanced at her. Then go. You're not my prisoners. Zura's fists clenched. The answer didn't make sense. You think kindness works? That we'll suddenly love you for it? Evan didn't answer. Zura stood slowly and walked over to him. Her steps were cautious, like a wild animal testing a trap. She stopped behind him, close enough to strike. And still, Evan didn't move. I could snap your neck right now, she sighed, her voice low and cold. Then do it, Evan replied softly. If it makes you free. Zura froze. There was no fear in his voice. No anger. Just sadness. Though she backed away and sat down again, confused. This man was not like the others. He didn't stare at their bodies. He didn't order them around. He gave them food, clothes, and shelter. And more than anything, he gave them silence, peace. For a long time, there was no sound except the fire. Then Mina stirred in her sleep and began to cry softly. Evan stood up and knelt beside her. She was dreaming. No. Reliving. Whispers escaped her lips and her alien tongue. Her body trembled, her hands clutching the blanket tightly. Evan gently placed his hand on her shoulder. It's all right. You're safe. Mina woke up with a gasp. Her eyes darted around in panic until she saw Evan. And then she did something unexpected. She hugged him, tightly, desperately, like someone holding on to life itself. Evan froze, surprised, but then gently returned the hug. Zura looked away, swallowing hard. Something twisted in her chest, something painful and unfamiliar. Jealousy? Guilt? Hope? She didn't know. When Mina calmed down, Evan helped her sit up and drink some water. Zura finally spoke. Why did you really take us both? Evan stared at the flames again. Because no one else would. Zura didn't like the answer. You think we're broken, like stray pets? Evan looked her in the eyes. No, I think you were thrown away. And that's not right. Zura stood, pacing. You don't get it. We're not your people. You don't know what we've done. I don't need to, he said calmly. Whatever it was, you've suffered enough. She stared at him, angry, confused, shaken. Suddenly, there was a sound outside. Crunch. Footsteps. Zura's warrior instincts kicked in. She grabbed a sharp bone from the ground, ready to fight. Evan slowly reached for his sidearm. Mina held her breath. A shadow moved at the cave entrance. Then silence. Evan stepped forward carefully and peeked outside. Nothing, just wind and night. But deep inside his gut, something felt wrong. He turned to the girls. Get ready. We might not be alone out here. Zura narrowed her eyes. Told you. They'll come for us. Evan didn't argue. He looked at both of them. We leave at first light. As the fire died down, three souls sat in the dark. A human who didn't believe in chains. A warrior who didn't trust kindness. and a girl who was learning to hope again. Rain. For the first time in her life, Mina felt rain on her skin. She stood outside the cave, barefoot in the wet grass, her face tilted to the sky as drops kissed her cheeks. Cold, clean, real. No chains. No cages, just sky. Behind her, Zura watched. With narrowed eyes, arms crossed. You'll get sick. Mina smiled through the water. Then I'll finally feel alive. Zura grunted and turned away. Inside the cave, Evan was rolling up supplies into a pack. They had to move. Something or someone was stalking them last night. He felt it. The air had changed. But even with the danger, part of him paused when he saw Mina dancing slowly in the rain. Not laughing, not smiling big, just breathing. Like a soul who had finally tasted a moment of peace. Evan walked out and handed her a cloak. Keep it. You'll need it once we head north. She took it carefully. Her hands still shook when people got too close, but she no longer flinched from his touch. Zura stepped outside too, but she didn't enjoy the rain. Her eyes scanned the trees like a guard on duty. Something's out there, she said, sharp and sure. It watched us last night. I know, Evan replied. Mina whispered. Will it take us back? No, he said. Not while I'm breathing. Zura gave him a hard look. You're just a man, human. One man can't protect two targets forever. Evan didn't argue. Instead, he knelt beside a tree and pulled out a small blade. In silence, he cut the glowing red collar from Mina's neck. The alien lock sparked and hissed, but it broke. Mina gasped and touched her neck, for the first time in years. She felt light, free. Zura stepped back, shocked. You broke it? Evan nodded. You want yours off too? Zura hesitated. She reached for her collar, then paused. No. Evan raised an eyebrow. Why not? Zura looked away. Because it reminds me of who I've become. Evan didn't push. All right, when you're ready. The three of them moved deeper into the forest that day. The rain faded. Birds sang overhead. Trees opened up to reveal a peaceful meadow. But peace never lasts. Just as Mina bent to pick a glowing flower, Zura shouted, Down! A loud crack echoed through the air. A laser bolt burned past Evan's shoulder and hit the tree beside him. Ambush! Zura yelled, diving forward and grabbing Evan's blade. From the trees, masked alien trackers stepped out, hunters sent to bring the girls back. Evan rolled behind cover and fired once, hitting a helmet. Zura moved like lightning, slicing one soldier's leg and stealing his weapon. Mina froze, trembling. She couldn't fight. She couldn't move. Evan shouted, Mina, run! But something inside her finally snapped. She turned and picked up a rock, big, heavy, and slammed it into the side of a soldier trying to grab her. The man fell back, stunned. Evan and Zura fought back to back. Blood and sparks filled the air. And then silence. Only three of them remained standing, breathing hard. Alive. Mina collapsed to her knees, sobbing. Evan rushed to her side and held her. You did it, he said softly. You fought. Zura wiped blood from her face and stared at them both. We need to leave. More will come. Evan nodded, helping Mina up. We go west. Mountains are safer. As they walked into the unknown, Zura looked down at her collar. Maybe it was time. Maybe she was ready. Asterisk. She couldn't sleep. Zura sat alone on a thick branch, high above the forest floor, her back against the tree trunk and her eyes locked on the moon. It was larger than she remembered. Or maybe she just hadn't really looked at the sky in years. Below her, Evan and Mina were sleeping beside a small campfire, quiet, peaceful, too peaceful. Zura's fingers tapped against the hilt of her stolen blade. She had learned long ago peace meant something bad was about to happen. And tonight, something felt wrong. Leaves rustled to her right. Too softly for the wind. She froze. Then it came again, a branch cracking low, heavy. Not like a person. Bigger. Zura's heart thudded. She slowly slid down the tree, landing without a sound. Her sharp eyes scanned the shadows. A low growl echoed. Through the trees, she dropped into a crouch and whispered to herself, "That's not a soldier." Suddenly, something huge burst from the darkness. A creature with black fur, long claws, and glowing orange eyes. It was hunched like a beast, but too smart. Its eyes didn't blink. It charged at her. Fast, Zura rolled aside and slashed with her blade, slicing the creature's side. It screeched and swiped back, missing her by inches. Evan woke to the sound of the growl and a scream. He grabbed his weapon and jumped to his feet. "Zura?" Mina screamed, pointing into the trees. "There's something out there." Evan ran forward and saw Zura slamming into the ground, dirt flying around her. The beast towered over her, mouth open, ready to strike. "Hey!" Evan fired 2 shots. One hit the creature's arm, the other its leg. It turned, snarled, and vanished into the trees with lightning speed. Evan ran to Zura, blood dripping from her shoulder. She groaned. It was fast, and it watched us first. That wasn't a wild animal. He helped her up. Then what was it? Zura gritted her teeth. A tracker beast. They release them when slaves escape too far. It only hunts the marked ones, Mina gasped. I still have the collar. So do you. Zura nodded slowly. It wasn't after you, Evan. It's coming for us. Evan stared into the woods. Then, we leave, now. Morning came too soon. Zura limped beside Evan, her shoulder wrapped in cloth. Mina carried the supplies this time, refusing to let anyone else suffer more than her. The 3 of them reached a quiet valley with a stream and tall stones. It looked calm, but they didn't stop. Zura kept glancing behind. You think it's still hunting us? Evan asked. Zura didn't answer. She didn't need to. A deep, bone-chilling roar echoed across the valley. The beast had found their trail. Mina trembled. We can't run forever. Zura stopped. Her eyes narrowed. No, but maybe. We can. Fight. Evan looked at her. You're injured. She smiled weakly. Still better than most of your soldiers. Then, to his surprise, she reached up and unclipped the collar from her own neck. The moment it hit the ground, the red light inside it blinked. Then died. I'm not prey anymore, she said. And this time, Evan saw it, the real warrior beneath the pain, the one no one could chain. Rain had washed the blood away, but not the scars. They sat in silence around a dying fire, hidden in a deep cave behind a waterfall. The sound of rushing water echoed through the stone, but inside, it was still too still. Zura stared at her. Reflection in a small puddle. Her eyes were cold, tired. Her face, once fierce, now looked human. Broken, even. Without the collar, she felt lighter. But not free. Mina leaned against the cave wall, humming a soft tune under her breath. A lullaby from her childhood, long forgotten until now. Evan cleaned his weapon in the corner. Quiet as always, but watching both of them when they weren't looking. It was Mina who broke the silence. Do you think scars go away? Zura didn't look up. Not the ones inside. Mina touched the thin lines on her arm. My owner used to mark me whenever I spoke without permission. Evan paused. Zura clenched her fists. Mine beat me for trying to escape 3 times. The 4th time, I broke his jaw. There was silence again. Then Evan finally spoke. My whole squad died saving strangers. I still hear their voices at night. Zura looked at him, surprised. You never told us that. You never asked, he said simply. Mina sat up. You saved us too. Evan shrugged. It wasn't about being a hero. It was just the right thing. Zura narrowed her eyes. You really don't expect anything in return, do you? No, he said. I just want you both to survive. That's enough. But Mina wasn't done. She looked at Zura. Why were you really captured? Zura's jaw tightened. I was a soldier, commander of my people's guard. I refused to obey an order, so they betrayed me, sold me to the slavers. Mina blinked in shock. You were a commander? I was, Zura said bitterly. Now I'm just a runaway with blood on my hands. Evan stepped closer. That's not all you are. Zura turned away. You don't know what I've done. Then tell me. She looked at him for a long time. Then she said, I once trusted someone like you, a human. He promised freedom. He gave me chains. Evan's expression hardened. I'm not him. I know, she whispered. But I still feel the fear. Mina reached out and gently held Zura's hand. Zura almost pulled away. But then she let it stay. Suddenly, a faint metallic chirp echoed through the cave. Evan grabbed his pack and pulled out a small device, the tracker. The red light was blinking. They found us, he said quietly. Zura stood up fast. How? Mina's eyes widened in horror. My collar. It's still active. Evan rushed over and pulled the collar from Mina's neck. The blinking stopped, but too late. Zura hissed. They're coming. Evan nodded. Then we don't. Wait. He handed Zura his second weapon. Can you still fight? Zura smiled, this time with fire in her eyes. Always. They packed fast. They knew the enemy was close. But this time, they wouldn't run in fear. This time, they would fight for real freedom. The ground shook just slightly, but enough for Evan to feel it in his boots. He crouched near the cliff's edge, watching the dusty trail below. In the distance, black shapes moved fast, armored and coming. Straight for them, he whispered. They're here. Behind him, inside a narrow cave high on the mountain slope, Zura was sharpening the blade she stole long ago. The sound of metal on stone echoed like a warning. Mina sat quietly beside the fire, her arms wrapped around her knees. She was no longer crying, no longer shaking. She was waiting. Zura didn't look up. How many? Too many, Evan said. Maybe 10, maybe more. One of them is huge like a war unit. Mina whispered, they really want us back. Zura gave a cold smile. They don't want us. They want control. Evan turned to face them. You both have a choice. Zura stood. No, we don't. They'll never stop chasing us. Evan stepped closer. That's why I'm going down there, alone. What? Mina stood up. You'll be killed. I'll talk to them, he said. Stall them. Give you 2 time to escape. Zura growled. You think they'll listen? You're human, but you broke their rule. You took what wasn't yours. I didn't take anyone, Evan said. You followed me. That's the difference. Mina looked at him, eyes wide. But we're not leaving you behind, Zura added. You gave us freedom. Now we fight with you. Evan hesitated, but then nodded. All right, then we fight together. Down below, the enemy arrived. The leader was a tall, monstrous alien wearing silver armor and a helmet shaped like a skull. His voice boomed through a speaker. Return the property, human, and your death will be quick. Evan stepped forward, standing alone for a moment. Calm, strong. They're not property, he shouted. They're people. The soldiers raised their weapons. Then a flash of silver landed beside Evan. Zura, weapon in hand, fire in her eyes. Then Mina appeared, standing behind them both. Not with a weapon, but with courage. The alien leader laughed coldly. You're outnumbered, outgunned. You have no army. Evan smiled. I have something stronger. Zura raised her blade. I have something to finish. Mina stepped forward. I have nothing to lose. The enemy charged. Blasters lit the sky. The mountain echoed with roars, screams, and steel against steel. By the end of the battle, smoke covered the valley. Broken weapons lay across the ground. Evan stood, breathing hard, bruised and burned but alive. Zura limped to his side, one arm hanging, face cut, but smiling. And Mina, though shaking, had knocked one soldier unconscious with a rock in her hand. They had survived together, but they knew it wasn't over. Zura stared into the smoke. More will come, Evan nodded. Then let them come. The battlefield was quiet now. Ash floated in the wind like soft snow. Trees burned in the distance. Blaster fire was gone. Screams had ended, but Evan, Zura, and Mina were still standing, bloodied, exhausted, alive. Evan dropped to his knees beside the stream and washed his hands. The water ran red. He stared at his reflection, tired eyes, dirt-covered face, and something new in his chest. Peace. Zura sat on a rock, one leg stretched out, her blade resting across her lap. Her breathing was steady, but her eyes were still. Sharp. Mina stood behind them both, bandaging her own arm with pieces of torn cloth. Quiet, strong, and no longer afraid. No collars, no chains. Only scars. And choices. Zura finally broke the silence. So what now? Evan looked up. We go. Somewhere safe. Start over. Mina asked softly, where is safe for people like us? Evan smiled gently, wherever we make it. Zura looked down at her blade. You could still walk away, human. Leave us here. Forget this happened. You'd be safer. Evan chuckled. I'd be bored. Mina stepped closer. You don't see us as a burden? No, he said. I see you both as family. Zura blinked. That word hit her harder than any weapon. No one had ever called her that. Then, from the woods behind them, a new sound approached. But this time, it wasn't soldiers. It was an old man and a group of farmers from a nearby valley. They had seen the smoke, heard the fight. Now they came with food, blankets, and healing herbs. An old farmer woman looked at Mina and whispered, Are you one of the escaped girls? Mina nodded, frightened. The woman smiled. Then you're safe now. Stay. As long as you wish. Zura watched in silence, her grip tight on the blade. Evan placed his hand on her shoulder. You don't have to fight anymore. She looked at him. Her voice was low. I don't know how to live without fighting. You'll learn, he said, and if I fail, then I'll be there to catch you. Weeks later, the mountain air was clean. Fields stretched far, and wild flowers bloomed where blood once spilled. Evan helped build a new home near the river. Mina taught the village children how to sing in her alien tongue. And Zura? She trained the villagers in self-defense, no longer to destroy but to protect. One evening, as the sun set, Zura stood beside Evan, watching the sky turn orange. I never believed in second chances, she said. Evan looked at her. But you took one anyway, she smiled. No, you gave it. She reached into her cloak and dropped the old collar into the fire. It cracked, sparked, and turned to ash. Mina joined them, her eyes shining. Together? She asked. Evan took both their hands. Together.